Any life cut short is a tragedy, especially for parents who lose a child and never saw it coming. Jim Axelrod has a cautionary tale from the final entry in a young girl's diary.
The night was beautiful. I saw the moon, I saw the stars.
And now a special report. Next week, Fairhope High School seniors will graduate and look ahead to the future. But the class of 2018 is incomplete because more than 2 months ago, Reese Johnson ended his own life.
Emma's room embodies everything that is pure and good about teenagers. Yet the quiet in the air is so heavy, it nearly brings you to your knees. 2 rows of hard-earned gleaming softball and soccer trophies testify to the past. A blue and gold UCLA pennant on the wall promises a wonderful future. But the athletic, bright, always helpful 13-year-old who slept in this room, who grew up in this home of faith and family, is gone forever. After a perfect day on a perfect Sunday, blasting softballs, sharing jokes with the girls on her travel team, and window shopping with her dad, Emma disappeared on the evening of January 21st and killed herself. No note, no warning, no 13 reasons why voice tape, just the stop of a beating heart. Her beautiful smile was the perfect cover for the pain she'd hidden inside. I remember reading about Emma's story and coming face to face with a picture of her. Looking into her eyes had me overcome with guilt. It was like her eyes were holding us to account, as if they were imploring, how could society let this happen to me? How could a sweet 13-year-old be forced into such a situation that the only option she felt she had left was to terminate her own existence? So much stress is put on kids to do good, and a lot of kids make mistakes. One slip up makes a kid feel like the smallest person in the world. The stress put on me has led me to this point. Make changes. This was a note from Patrick Turner, a teenager who took his own life when he was 16. He held us to account with the notes he wrote before he passed away. These notes went viral for a while, then silence. The world moved on. But there are millions of Emmas and millions of Patricks. Some of them will struggle for their whole lives. Some of them will harm themselves. And some will cut their own lives short. But we who remain behind have to take a long, hard look into their eyes and either delude ourselves that everything is okay or we make changes. The second leading cause of death for young people between 10 and 24 is suicide. More than ever, kids are turning around and telling us that they are under pressure and that they are drowning. Are we going to listen? Or are we going to ignore them? Are we going to cross the street like when there's a homeless person and we act like we haven't seen them? It is time to talk about mental health. It is time to talk about the well-being of our children. It is time to talk about how we better equip them with the mindset and skills they need to navigate the world we have created for them. For a while now, it has become fashionable to knock the next generation for being snowflakes. Whatever they may or may not be, how about we take responsibility for how they might be at that age? If they're suffering, it's either because we've given them sufferable things to face in their lives, or we haven't adequately prepared them for the world. Either way, a 13-year-old is not to blame. Growing up in the modern world is a contradiction. Hardship isn't what it once was. In the Western world, we are relatively comfortable. Adversity and suffering were much more visible a generation or two ago. Now there is no world war. There are apps that let you order food with a tap. Suffering has evolved just like the world has evolved. Albert Camus wrote in his novel, The Fall, Men are never convinced of your reasons, of your sincerity, of the seriousness of your sufferings, except by your death. So long as you are alive, your case is doubtful. You have a right only to their skepticism. And so it is with struggling teenagers. That needs to change. My best friend in my teens taught me a lot of lessons. We were at different schools, so whenever we met up, we always had a lot to talk about. During exam season, we didn't see each other for a few weeks. When we finally met up, it felt like nothing had changed. We still made jokes, we still messed around, we still got up to no good. But as we were walking by a tall building, he stopped and looked up. "Have you ever thought about jumping?" I stopped next to him and followed his gaze. "I couldn't do it," I replied. "Oh, but you can. The hardest part is just getting to that point where you're about to do it. After that, you could probably just blank your mind, not even think about it, and just do it." I told him he was crazy. We made a joke about suicide and went on with our lives. But it was more of an uncomfortable, relieved attention type of humour. 2 years later, I was going through a stressful period in my life. It was various different things that were overwhelming me at once. And I wasn't sure how I was going to cope. I was taken back to that moment, that conversation. The hardest part is just getting there. It was that simple. Instead of constantly feeling that pressure from morning until night, it could be eliminated just like that. Luckily, I had a very good support network. I had a teacher who understood me, and I had friends who knew what I was going through. I did some research into stress and stress management techniques. It saved my life. The thing with stress is that you don't know what you're up against. It's an invisible enemy, but it is also a deceptive one. That's why I decided to make this video, to draw attention to stress and how it can end in extreme circumstances. In the next video, we will go into how stress works and how it can be overcome. Watching that video might just save a life. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, like and comment. More importantly, don't forget to join the revolution in parenting.